Energy! Energy! Let's stay up, up, up! Who am I kidding? These are some strange days. Heady times. I shot this about 1 week into social distancing because of COVID-19. And, you know, my solution to losing all my work shifts and having to stay indoors is to put on lots of makeup. And I, in fact, did this makeup on Instagram Live. Specifically, I wanted to do something bright and sunshiny and just positive. So firstly, I'm prepping my skin there with some Victoria Beckham lotion and then this e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. This is the first time I've tried such a primer. These e.l.f. putty primers have become famous as dupes for the Tatcha Silk Canvas primer. There's a matte version and a luminous one. I have opted for the luminous, and this is the first time I've tried it, so not much to report on yet. Now that I am sufficiently hydrated and luminous, I'm trying some color correcting again. Jury's still out for me on this. I mentioned in my last video I'm trying this lavender primer, corrector, on parts of my skin that are darker and have kind of a sallow tone to them. Pardon me, I'm laughing because I'm getting some questions on Instagram Live. Yes, so that's what this lavender color is hoping to correct. Part of me thinks maybe I should just match my foundation to those deeper parts of my skin tone, but I've always tried to match my foundation more to my forehead and neck, because that seems to be the parts of my skin that has the most even tone. So yeah, I'm not sure what to say. It does still amaze me that after 20 years of wearing makeup, the struggle is definitely real to match your foundation and try to make your face as much as possible one even color. Speaking of, the foundation I'm going to use today is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define foundation in the shade F2. So this is the foundation version of the concealer that I really like from Revolution. So I was a little worried about this foundation because when I received it, I did see that it's called a full coverage foundation, which is not always my jam. But I've been very happy to find that as long as I'm using some good luminous skincare underneath, that it doesn't look overly full color coverage or matte even. I kind of like actually to wear a more matte foundation and then just not set it with any powder and let it kind of set itself. This foundation I am blending in with my beauty sponge, which is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. It's really nice. I'm very pleased with that. It was about $3 on clearance, and I think is normally only about 10 bucks. Yeah, e.l.f. is still kind of a new brand for me. And I'm taking a little extra foundation over my chin really gently because I've got a big red spot there and I'm trying to cover it up. I am lucky that I don't get spots too often, and when I do, I try to get most of my coverage with foundation so I don't have to put too much concealer. But it wasn't enough, so I will put concealer anyways. Today I'm using this Covergirl Trublend concealer, which I was very impressed with. Somebody mentioned it as a dupe for Tarte Shape Tape, and I have to say I like it more than Tarte Shape Tape. It's good coverage, but it's not as drying as Shape Tape. So, you know, win-win. And obviously it's much more affordable. I'm bouncing under my eyes with the flat edge of that sponge this is maybe an unpopular opinion because I know beauty sponges have a pointy tip to get around the under eye area, but I like using the flat edge. I don't know what it is. I think that's why I prefer sponges that are shaped like this, or the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge versus the OG Beauty Blender. I like having that flat edge. Moving on to brows. This is how I've been doing my brows lately. Been giving them a brush up and then brushing them down to put in my initial shape. I've been finding that it's a more accurate way for me to define the tail end of my brow, which I'm doing here with this Avon brow pencil. Yeah, I think it just like gives me a better idea of where my natural brow begins and ends. So you can see there I'm just filling in and kind of matching up my brow, and then brushing it back up and seeing if there's any of the brow along the bottom that needs to be filled in. True story, I got this brow pencil for free. Someone in my neighborhood had left a bin of sealed beauty products on their lawn with a big sign that said free, and I took them up on it. There was some pretty good stuff in there, including this eyebrow pencil. The only bad thing about it is that it is very soft in texture, so I'm finding that I need to sharpen it every single time I use it, and so I am going through it quite a bit faster than a different kind of pencil. Finally, I'm going to set my brows with this brow gel, also from e.l.f, that's called Wow Brow. And I picked this up after hearing that it is a good dupe for Glossier Boy Brow. Wow Brow. There it is. And this is in the shade Neutral Brown, which I think is a good match for me when I haven't colored my eyebrows. And it was very affordable. I think it was less than $5. Can't beat that. Alright, time's almost here. Getting ready for this very exciting eyeshadow moment. I'm gonna put some translucent powder on my eyes to get ready. Get ready, get set, stretch it out. Wah wah. I lost the footage where I premiered this amazing eyeshadow color from Anastasia called Brick Road. This is the feature color of today's video, this bright matte yellow. I took a MAC 239 brush and packed it all over my eyelid area to start off with, and that's like the base for this whole look. And then here, this is a MAC 217, which I've taken a little bit of the yellow color on to work it up through the crease and above the socket towards the brow. I'm building the shape of the eye that I'd like. So start by packing the color all over the lid and then work it up gradually. You can also see I've winged it out a bit at the outer corner. This eyeshadow is really nice, and I'm not sure if it's just the yellow color itself, but I did find I had to go over it quite a few times to keep it very vibrant. Otherwise it kind of wears off and gets a little patchy in some areas. So I'm going to periodically kind of do that throughout this video to make sure that it's as true and bright as possible. Now, my apologies for this awkward angle, but what I'm doing here is taking an eyeshadow color from the Natasha Denona Tropic palette called Limoncello, and I'm taking it on my finger and packing it on the inner corner of my eye and slightly bringing it out about a third of the way across my eyelid, and not being shy with that and like bringing it right up towards the eyebrow. I think you could definitely wear just the yellow brick eyeshadow color on its own. Like, I think it's a great look. But I'm going to use that Limoncello and another color to kind of add a little bit of dimension. That Limoncello color is very nice. It's obviously not as vibrant. It's more of a pale yellow, and it's very shimmery. But the yellow matte, yellow brick shade, I'm bringing also along the bottom lash all the way across to the inner corner and buffing it out with that same 217 brush. The next step in terms of adding more dimension is that I am going to take this mustard yellow shade really lightly through my socket. This is in an attempt to kind of define the crease. I did find it really tricky to find a color that would work without pulling too orange, and I think, you know, this did a pretty good job. But, you know, I wanted to maintain that really bright, sunshiny yellow aspect of this look. But that mustard shade is going just only on the tip of my brush, like I'm taking a very small amount, and then barely even moving, like I barely have a grip on this brush. I'm taking it so lightly through my socket line. That same shade is going along the lower lash line just to deepen it a little bit. And I'll then, of course, blend that out again with the 217 brush to make sure that everything is kind of seamless and not too dark. Keeping things bright, keeping things light. I should mention this yellow brick eyeshadow color is from the Alyssa Edwards Anastasia palette, which I found at Winners, got a deal, and it was really just this yellow color that really attracted me to the palette. There you're seeing the Pat McGrath gold highlighter, which I'm putting a very generous amount of on my brow bone and kind of around the perimeter of that bright yellow color. This highlighter pulls yellow, but without getting too dark. Like, it's still quite light and bright, which is why I chose it. This was maybe a mistake. I'm taking a kohl liner through my waterline, and I thought like a gold or coppery color would work, but I found it was actually a little too dark. But it was kind of too late, so I just went for it still on my waterline. I didn't have a pure yellow eyeliner, but my intent was just to make the eye as bright and yellow as possible. Oh well. I'm using the MAC 239 brush to actually go back through my crease because it wasn't as deep and defined as I'd like it to be. That's a good tip if you struggle with crease work. I find a fluffy brush can be a little intimidating, but a flat shader brush, just use horizontally back and forth, can work great. I'm already on to mascara here. This is the Essence Lash Princess Volume. I've mentioned in other videos, this drugstore mascara is really great. Check it out. Putting generous coats of that on the top and bottom. And then the eyes are pretty much done. I have a little bit of translucent powder that I'm just taking around the face where I need it. Ooh, bring in the heat, bring in the cheek heat. This is a Maybelline dupe for Glossier Cloud Paint. It's a brand new product. It's a gel blush, and yeah, I have to say, I really like it. I might like it even more than Cloud Paint. Take that, Glossier. Or at least my first impression is that I like it more. So when I've got this much color and brightness on the eyes, I like to keep most of the color pretty subdued elsewhere, including for highlighter. So I'm using this fancy schmancy Tom Ford cream highlighter, just putting it directly onto my sponge and then tapping it around the high points of my face. I love this highlighter because it doesn't really add color to your skin, it just adds shine. And it does that without any glitter or shimmer. Now, while wearing yellow eyeshadow, the temptation is real to do a full-on, like, McDonald's ketchup, mustard, red and yellow combination. But I stopped myself there, and instead I'm just going to do a light wash of more of a neutral kind of rosy red all over the lips. This is an Annabelle waterproof lip liner in the shade Terracotta, and I'm using it firstly to define the shape of my lips, and then I will take the crayon completely all the way over the lips. And my goal here was just a light wash of color, kind of just to enhance the natural redness that is in my lips that does not appear well on camera. I don't want anything too opaque, so I'm rubbing my lips together. I'm also kind of blurring it out with my finger, and that's always been a struggle for me. It's easy for me to just like smear on a lipstick or a lip liner until it's at its full opacity and you get the true color, but that's not the goal here today. I'm trying to exercise restraint. Even here, my obvious choice was to pair this with my yellow glasses. And you can see there, I think it's pretty fun. But in the end, I did go back to my clear and white glasses, because I think the contrast between the bright yellow and the white is a better look. I used to think I could not wear yellow, and then in the past 5 years or so, I've been drawn to it more and more. And especially as an eyeshadow, I thought it could make me look a little sickly, but I just love it. It's bright, sunshiny. Things can only get better. There you go. That's the completed look. Hope you're all staying positive, taking care of yourself and the others around you. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again real soon.